We will have a good tomato agreement, which is a little bit more in the vegetable agreement.
For sure, this lobbying campaign is no small potatoes. Members of Congress have been tempted with everything from a new sewer system for San Diego and cleaning up environmental damage along the Arizona border with Mexico to new defense contracts for Texas and trade breaks for broom makers in Ohio. New international airline routes were suddenly approved for areas where NAFTA support was weak. NAFTA's famous opponents were furious and said voters will throw the deal makers out of office.
The American people who work for a living and pay the taxes that were used to buy these votes will once again reassert their right.
Maybe so, but for now it seemed to be working, and today this was the Capitol's least heard quote.
For me, there wasn't any last-minute pressure. There wasn't any of the arm twisting that they're talking about.
But the way the opponents added up, the president has already handed out $1.1 billion in goodies. Whatever the accuracy of that, people on both sides are now saying privately the president is going to win. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
Again, overnight is often a long time in Washington politics, and things can change. But as Bob just reported, and we underscore it, as of this hour, even many opponents of the North American Free Trade Agreement are conceding tonight that the White House effort is working, and passage tomorrow, probably by a narrow margin, seems likely. Correspondent Rita Braver is at the White House now. Rita, we'll talk later in the broadcast about what's at stake for the country, but what's at stake for Mr. Clinton and his young administration?
Well, Dan, President Clinton has been working so hard to get NAFTA passed, the questions are actually being raised about whether he has put his prestige, indeed his presidency, on the line. For example, today he hosted a pep rally on the front lawn of the White House, complete with a cheerleading squad of governors who support NAFTA. And Mr. Clinton made it sound as if the nation's entire future depends on NAFTA.
Tomorrow, the Congress has simply got to vote for hope over fear, for the future over the past. They've got to vote for confidence in the ability of the American people to compete and win.
To convince Congress he's right, the president has been lobbying members in private, telling them how much he needs their support.
Now that I've gotten some other additional facts and information, I'm going to make my decision by tomorrow morning.
But today, Mr. Clinton brushed aside questions about whether he's tied his own future too closely to NAFTA's.
I think the stakes for our country are high. What happens to me is not nearly as important as what happens to the country.
In fact, the tough fights with Congress may become a hallmark of the Clinton presidency, according to CBS News consultant Joe Klein.
I think that this administration is going to be a roller coaster. We're going to have a series of Clinton cliffhangers like the budget vote and the NAFTA vote. But that may be because he's trying to do something very difficult, which is to nudge the American public into a recognition that we're in a new and very difficult global climate.
Privately, White House advisors acknowledge that if the president loses NAFTA, it could undercut his ability to get Congress and the nation to back him on other big issues like health care. But they say if the president wins, it will show everyone that he is willing and able to go the distance on the big ones, Dan.
Rita Braver at the White House, thanks. Now, to underscore the historic significance and the strange political alliances for and against the North American Free Trade Agreement, a little later in this broadcast, we will have context and perspective on this trade deal that may surprise you from two of the most respected and most knowledgeable leaders here on Capitol Hill.
And there's another international trade deal, Dan, in the works tonight. Cars made in the USA may soon get a small but unprecedented crack at the Japanese market. Toyota and General Motors say they are close to a deal. Toyota would buy 20,000 cars built by GM and then sell the cars in Japan. The deal is worth $200 million to GM, but that's still barely a blip in the $50 billion U.S. trade deficit with Japan. On the eve of his summit with Asian leaders this weekend, President Clinton is considering a deal tonight with the communist rulers of North Korea. They are offering to allow inspection of their nuclear facilities if the U.S. and South Korea cancel their next big military exercise. Mr. Clinton's top advisors reportedly favor the deal. National security correspondent David Martin has our exclusive report from the front lines in Korea.
To the Clinton administration, team spirit, the war game for the defense of South Korea, is a pawn in a diplomatic chess game. But the commander of U.S. forces in Korea told CBS News today canceling it would be quote-unquote criminal, unless North Korea does something in return to reduce its military threat to the South.
Build up in the north, and they're actions and reactions to what's going on cause us great concern. And I see it as a very dangerous threat.
The North Korean military is no match for the American, but it could wreak havoc on South Korea.
The city of Seoul has a population of more than 10 million people and is just 25 miles from the border with North Korea, within easy range of Scud missiles armed with chemical warheads. If there were another war, Seoul would be one of the first casualties.
One of the world's 10 largest cities would be just flattened in terms of fighting, and we would win, but at horrendous cost.
For North Korea to open its nuclear sites to inspection would not by itself decrease the threat to the South. It would not even eliminate the threat of a North Korean bomb.
The CIA has testified that there may be enough plutonium for 1 or 2 bombs already in the hands of the North Koreans that could be manufactured into a weapon relatively quickly.
Canceling Team Spirit in return for inspections would seem to be giving up a lot for a little. North Korea would merely be agreeing to live up to the terms of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, a treaty it has already signed.
North Korea considers even the most basic and fundamental international obligation as something that it can and it should negotiate rather than simply comply with.
With or without Team Spirit, U.S. military officers say they will continue to train for the defense of South Korea. The standoff between the U.S. and the Communist North still has a long way to run. David Martin, CBS News, Seoul, South Korea.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News from Washington and New York, elderly Americans facing a growing problem, a shortage of food.
And Eye on America. Tonight, more of our undercover investigation on the dangers you face from the chicken you eat.
When I was a kid, Mom was always after me to eat right.
And that's what mothers do.
Now I'm looking out for her with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between.
You know, dear, Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Ensure. To your health, Mom.
Our health, dear.
I'll never forget it. My son and I came home, and our door had been kicked open. The house was ransacked. He was so upset. He couldn't sleep. He had nightmares. Then we got a Brinks home security system. Now we come home with a good, secure feeling.
Protect your family with Brinks Home Security. Call 1-800-2-BRINKS now before it's too late.
I'm Sherry Tipmore. Thanks, Brinks.
In the U.S. Appeals Court here in Washington today, a big victory for gays and lesbians who want to serve in the U.S. military, and a possible setback for President Clinton's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. The appeals court said the Navy must reinstate a midshipman who was denied graduation in 1987 solely because he acknowledged he is gay. The 3-judge panel also ordered the Navy to commission 29-year-old Joseph Stephan as an officer. No word on any possible Pentagon appeal, but gay rights advocates plan to use today's ruling to fight the Clinton policy, which says basically gays and lesbians may serve in the military only if they keep their sexual orientation secret.
A disturbing report tonight about older Americans in this country. Millions of them, even some living above the so-called poverty line, don't know from day to day where their next meal is coming from. CBS News correspondent Sandra Hughes has details.
Up to 5 million Americans over the age of 65 at some point worry about whether they'll have enough food to survive.
Which means if you know 6 elderly people, the odds are that you know somebody, whether you know it or not, who is having trouble making sure that they get enough to eat.
The Urban Institute, a nonprofit Washington group, calls it food insecurity, meaning meals are unavailable, unaffordable, or inaccessible.
Gee, if I could have more than 1 meal a day, that would be terrific.
In spite of programs like food stamps and Meals on Wheels, the study says only 1/3 of seniors who need help get it.
Some of the elderly don't know where to go, basically don't know where to go, who to turn to.
Our programs are not meeting the need, and millions are slipping between the crack.
The study says even those above the poverty line have trouble juggling money for food, medicine, and rent.
Every year,
they reduce your Social Security. You know, like this time is only going to be 6%, and the landlord charge you 7%.
But if the seniors have it tough, so do their supporters in government who are trying to squeeze out funds at a time of budget deficits.
The least that we can do is in next year's health care bill, we're going to have to find a way to pay for prescription drugs for the senior citizens, the most needy ones.
The study finds there are just too many holes in the safety net designed to protect seniors. Elderly advocates hope the findings of this study will put pressure on government to repair the net. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Santa Monica.
A tornado hit downtown Houston, Texas today, knocking down trees and power lines, damaging cars and skipping from building to building, ripping off roof shingles and shattering windows. Residents of Houston had plenty of warning that a tornado was on the way, and while at least 24 injuries were reported, none was serious.
Stay here with us for more of the CBS Evening News, including our Eye on America undercover investigation into unsafe poultry. Plus, up next, context and perspective on NAFTA from two of Washington's leading lawmakers on both sides of the issue.
$1.50 an hour, which is what they're working.
Presto has a great idea.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad shooter.
Now, Presto has a great big idea. Professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity, holds a lot, shoots a lot. Powerful, fast, a variety of cutting blades so you can point and slice thick, slice thin, shred right into the bowl, even ripple cut. Chop, grate right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, now professional salad shooter.
You can't breathe. Your sinuses are blocked. Last time you got a doctor's prescription. This time he told you to get Tavis D, the same full-strength medicine without a prescription.
Good morning.
Tavis D, 1 tablet, 12 hours, no prescription.
The idea for our new Dow plant was simple. If we don't cause water pollution, there'll be no need to clean up water pollution. So Dow employed advanced technology that completely recycles the water we use within the plant instead of sending it back to the river. No one made us do it. We just did it. Is this kind of pollution prevention important for our future? I've got a couple of reasons that say yes, it is.
Dow lets you do great things.
Want the inside story on me, George Brett? With minor arthritis pain like mine, I need Ultra Strength Bengay. It's the only one with 3 pain relievers. And besides, doctors recommend Bengay the most. Ultra Strength Bengay, nothing stronger.
See what your car's license plate says about you.
Plus, a preview of the Kennedy home movies.
Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, breakfast for your head.
Kuwait is accusing Iraq of more aggression on their increasingly tense border. Hundreds of Iraqis stormed across the line in the sand today and chased away workmen digging a security trench for Kuwait. Iraq has refused to recognize the border marked out by the UN following the Gulf War. An American oilman who was seized by Iraqi troops along that same border is back in U.S. soil tonight. Kenneth Beatty spent 7 months in an Iraqi jail, convicted of illegal entry. Oklahoma Senator David Boren went to Baghdad to win his release. Boren said he made no deals with Saddam Hussein.
By contrast, a whole lot of dealing going on here tonight with just hours before the crucial showdown on the North American Free Trade Agreement. Lawmakers on both sides see it as a defining moment for the Clinton presidency, for U.S. trade policy, indeed for long-range U.S. foreign policy. I spoke a short while ago to House Majority Leader Dick Gephardt, who's been leading the charge against the North American Free Trade Agreement, and Senator Bill Graham, a Republican from Texas, who is for the agreement. I asked each of them what Americans need to know most about this trade proposal.
NAFTA means lowering trade barriers against American goods. The average American good going into Mexico has a 10% tariff. The average Mexican good coming into the United States has a 4% tariff. We almost have free trade, only in one direction. Lowering those trade barriers means a greater opportunity for us to get into Mexico and compete with the Germans, compete with the Japanese, and convince Mexican consumers that they are right in loving American goods. I think in raising living standards there, we create a new demand for the next century for American goods. I see it as a good thing.
I believe that we can do better than this NAFTA, and we have to. I think if we go down the road of this NAFTA, we haven't solved a lot of important problems that we need to solve.
Such as?
Such as the standard of living in Mexico, which I think has been artificially held down by the government, by the way the country works.
Is it fair to say, or is it not, that you favor some NAFTA, but not this NAFTA?
I think it's inevitable that we have a NAFTA. The question is, what is the NAFTA? What are the rules of engagement? What does it say? What does it accomplish? My test is it a sufficient force for progress? Does it solve the real problems that we have in this relationship? I think it can. This NAFTA doesn't do it. And I think if it's turned down tomorrow, we can get a NAFTA that will solve the problem.
What about that, Senator Graham? Sounds reasonable.
We are now seeing a real growth in trade with Mexico. Wages in Mexico are rising. Living standards, after declining for 15 years, are starting to rise. Now, the question is, do we keep that going by rejecting this NAFTA? And the idea that having gone through this long courtship, having walked down the aisle, so to speak, and when the preacher says, do you take this woman, the idea that we can turn to Mexico and say, well, honey, can't we just be friends? Can't things just be like they were before?
Now, Representative Gephardt, rightly or wrongly, I have people say to me, well, you got to expect Gephardt to oppose this because he's part of his core constituency is organized labor. Address yourself to that.
It's important because if wages are artificially held down in Mexico, as I believe they are, it induces our employers and others to want to go there to get the benefit of that cheap labor. The future, if it's to be bright for both countries, has to be trade and consumption in both countries.
Are you disturbed by what's been handed out in order to get the votes?
There's a lot less of the deal-making going on than is being reported. I've talked to the members in the House. The vast, vast majority of members are really wrestling with the right things.
And if we do win on NAFTA, it will be the triumph of facts over fear. And I think basically optimism about America and our ability to compete.
Senator Phil Gramm of Texas and House Majority Leader Dick Gephardt on the North American Free Trade Agreement. The showdown vote, up or down, is tomorrow night in the House of Representatives.
And still to come on the CBS Evening News, Eye on America. Tonight, more of our undercover investigation. Why some chicken may be hazardous to your health.
I've been a stage and screen director for a long time, and Stella's been an actress for a long time.
For 30 years, we put money in Dreyfus Mutual Funds every month. Dreyfus is a leader in mutual funds.
In mutual funds, we're diversified with many, many stocks.
That's good.
Now, they say the play is the thing. Well, mutual funds aren't too bad either.
You're saying it all. Let's do this again. Wait a minute.
You're giving me cold cereal?
Yeah, but not just any cold cereal. This is different.
Quaker toasted oatmeal?
Yep.
Hey, this tastes good.
Well, it should. With all these oatmeal flakes, touch of brown sugar, sounds good too. But there's more. Whole grains of oatmeal on every oatmeal flake. Heck, that's oatmeal on top of oatmeal. Same good stuff as the hot.
Quaker toasted oatmeal, original and honey nut.
It's my other oatmeal.
Start fresh and get a whole other kind of chip.
Chip Shot.
Presto Chip Shot potato chips. Slices so thin they gotta be crisp. Regular or ripple cut. Fry them up or even microwave for a light, no-fat chip.
Chip Shot.
Perfect Chip Shot slices. Flavor them up for the taste you want. Clean up easy. Dishwasher safe.
Chip Shot.
Crisp, light, delicious. A whole other kind of chip. Chip Shot potato chipper.
Chip Shot.
From Presto.
Tonight, the legend continues as Cole struggles for his life. Gideon and Isom face a deadly enemy. Return to Lonesome Dove.
We told you last night how important it is to clean and cook chicken properly because so much of the chicken we buy is full of bacteria. Now, you may be wondering how contaminated chicken winds up in the store in the first place. After all, what does USDA inspected mean? Frank Courier and our CBS News undercover cameras are about to show you in tonight's Eye on America.
Give me chicken, baby.
This year, Americans will eat
7 billion chickens, about 70 pounds per person. And why not?
I like chicken.
It's cheaper than most meat, with only a third the saturated fat of lean beef.
Is the stuff.
Well, it's healthy, easier to eat. You can fix it about 10 different ways, easier to digest.
But health-conscious consumers worried over recent deaths linked to E. coli bacteria in meat should also be concerned about unsafe poultry.
I don't ever recall feeling that sick. It felt like I was hit by a truck.
In Maryland, Dr. Leonard Kapkala's family battled high fever and diarrhea. They're among more than 1 million Americans poisoned each year by bad poultry.
There must have been an awful lot of bacteria in this particular piece of chicken to make us as sick as we got.
Millions more who mishandle chicken are probably poisoned but never realize it, doctors say, because in milder cases, the symptoms can be similar to stomach flu. The problem begins in jam-packed barnyards, chickens wading in each other's waste, a breeding ground for two powerful bacteria that kill more than 1,000 people every year, Salmonella and Campylobacter. But it is really here, critics agree, inside the nation's huge high-speed slaughtering plants, where, according to USDA studies, disease-bearing organisms spread, infecting raw poultry.
What's happening
Right here, you're seeing the chickens come off of the line, fall into the chill tank.
We asked former inspector, now union boss, Dave Carney, to watch CBS News video shot undercover inside a major slaughtering plant.
Every bird that falls into that water essentially is contaminated.
There's no violation here, but some inspectors think there should be. For look what's happening. After slaughter, the birds plunge into a chill tank. One after the other, thousands of soiled carcasses rinsed together, where, according to one USDA study, the salmonella infection rate multiplies, and disease is sopped up like a sponge.
Once they're in the tank, they soak up about 10% of their body weight in moisture.
It's like a sewer there, then.
It was once referred to as fecal soup.
Every chicken you see in the grocery is approved by the Agriculture Department as safe to eat. But that distinctive little seal on the package, USDA inspected for wholesomeness, is no guarantee. In fact, what it really means is that an inspector glanced at the bird for less than 2 seconds.
Quite often, our inspectors are subjected to what we call line hypnosis.
Birds whiz by in a blur up to 91 every minute, with fewer inspectors, faster lines mandated by the USDA during deregulation a decade ago. A dangerous speed-up, critics say, to accommodate both the industry and growing consumer demand. But consumer watchdog Elaine Dodge asks, at what price?
In the process of those fast line speeds, chickens get contaminated and people eat that contamination and get sick.
The Agriculture Department, which plans to hire 200 additional inspectors, makes no apologies for fast-forwarding slaughter lines. Assistant Secretary Gene Brandstuhl says speed is not the problem.
If our inspectors believe the lines are moving too fast to the point that they cannot properly inspect, then our policy is there to shut that line down.
That may be their policy, okay? But it does not happen in the field. We do not do that.
Bill Harrison and other veteran inspectors feel threatened by industry pressure to keep the parade of poultry at full throttle.
They can stop the line. They can stop the line. You're right. You let them stop the line too many times, and these supervisors will have our people in the office saying, what's going on? Can't you keep up? Can't you do your job?
There's absolutely no evidence that slowing a processing line would have anything whatsoever to do with microbiology of the product.
But faster lines, say critics, contribute to a process that allows some contamination to slip through. So chickens routinely condemned 15 years ago now pass right to consumers.
If you're going to protect public health, you're going to have to say this product is contaminated. And USDA doesn't want to say that because then people might not buy meat and poultry.
With consumer confidence in food safety undermined by repeated poisonings, the USDA hopes to launch sweeping changes in poultry inspection so that chicken, guaranteed by government as wholesome, stops being a potential hazard to your health. In Chicago, Frank Courier for Eye on America.
Now, what about the most popular poultry this time of year, turkey? How safe is that? Well, tomorrow, part 3 of our special report. Tips on keeping salmonella off your Thanksgiving menu and why you shouldn't trust those pop-up thermometers.
And that's part of our world tonight. I'll be back here in Washington tomorrow for the big votes on the North American Free Trade Agreement and on the crime bill. We'll see you then.
Good night, Dan. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Connie. Good night, everybody.
Jeff. Not feeling good, hon. When Jeffrey catches a cold, we see the pediatrician.
I love my pediatrician. He's my dad.
He recommends Dimetap Elixir.
Doctors have recommended the Dimetap brand over 200 million times. It relieves sneezing, nasal congestion, runny noses.
And Jeffrey really likes the great taste.
Doctors recommend Dimetap for their families and yours.
We have a live-in doctor. He recommends Dimetap Elixir.
Panasonic presents a unique and highly evolved smooth operator. The new Smooth Operator 2 with float control is the only razor to unite the comfort of twin independent floating heads with the closeness of a warm, wet shave. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. The new Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you would be.
How do you give low-saturated fat oils like canola a different taste? Add corn oil.
Only Mazzola Right Blend blends the leading corn oil with canola oil. So there's 1 gram of saturated fat per serving.
It's a low-saturated fat oil that tastes great.
For sautéing, tossing, or baking, use Mazzola Right Blend and blend good taste into your healthy cooking. From Mazzola.
What gives new improved Healthy Choice soup its bigger, better taste?
Well, it's simple. You get more.
More big chunks of vegetables, more home-style noodles than ever before, and still less fat than the leading soup.
You gotta want more.
And lean, tender cuts of chicken for a more savory taste than ever before.
This soup tastes great.
New improved Healthy Choice soup with a bigger, better, bolder, tastier new taste. Healthy Choice.
Experience CBS News.
Oh, that Thanksgiving turkey. Succulent, tasty.
It's the only time of the year I ever have it.
We like turkey. Everybody likes it.
But if it's not prepared properly, it can make you sick. Can you protect yourself from a tainted turkey? You bet. We'll tell you how on Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung. This is CBS.
Does it seem like everybody knows more about investing than you do?
Excuse me, but you're not doing a straddle on T-bills, are you?
No, I'm just here to ask about the mutual funds.
Hey, Lorraine, I heard you went long right before the sell-off.
Yeah, I got hammered.
Oh, Lorraine. Did you have a question?
No, I think you already answered it.
For advice you can understand, visit any U.S. Bank branch and see an investment specialist from U.S. Bank Core Securities.
Big savings on the new 1994 Dodge pickup. Order any new 1994 Dodge full-size pickup from Brian McMore Dodge, and your price savings is 10% off factory list price. Brand new 94 1/2-ton pickups with V6 Magnum Power and ST Advantage package. Year price $13,994. Pay $259 per month. 5 at this price. Stop by today and test drive the all-new 1994 Dodge Ram pickup at Brian McMore Dodge in Beaverton, where we rent cars and trucks for $15 per day.
The Men's Warehouse is a fine men's specialty store. And when you walk into a Men's Warehouse, you're immediately surprised at how nice the store really looks. And we go out of our way to make it a pleasant experience. We are not a place where you can buy a cheap suit cheap. We are a place where you can buy quality designer clothing at a 20 to 30% discount. I guarantee it.
In Salem, Clackamas, Beaverton, and downtown Portland.
You're watching Home TV, Channel 6.